Hello. Thank you for visiting the Other Woman and Man Stories channel. Don't forget to subscribe. And here we go. Jessica and Daniel got married 2 years ago. They first met when they were both students and immediately fell head over heels for each other. During their final years of college, they traveled a lot together, and after graduation, they decided to start their adult, independent life, fully immersed in routine and responsibilities. They had to search for an apartment, sort out job-related matters, and so on. Gradually, they adapted to their newfound independence, distancing themselves from parental support. At present, everything seemed fine. They were living in a cozy apartment. Daniel was advancing in his career, and Jessica had decided not to pursue her field of study and instead found a job at a beauty salon, where she did manicures for girls. Over time, the passion in their married life began to fade, but they tried not to pay much attention to it and avoid discussing the issue. One day, Daniel suggested spending the weekend together to have some fun and rekindle the flame, but Jessica said she already had other plans for those days. "My friend Samantha is having her birthday, and she invited us girls to a party. We'll go together and celebrate," Jessica said. "When were you planning to tell me about this?" Daniel asked, sounding a bit displeased. "Well, I'm telling you now. What's the big deal?" his wife replied irritably. Samantha was Jessica's best friend. They communicated almost every day and could talk for hours. If Jessica went out to hang out, most likely she was meeting Samantha. Jessica wished to spend more time with her best friend, but Samantha had a lot of work, so they mostly met on weekends. Therefore, Jessica eagerly awaited Saturdays not only to see her best friend, but also to joyfully celebrate her birthday. Daniel understood all of this, but he didn't like the irritated tone from his wife. Lately, she often argued with him over trivial matters. She always reminded him that he worked too much and spent too little time with her. Daniel tried to dedicate his free time to his wife, but he just couldn't change his work schedule. Currently, work was not the easiest period for him, and he highly valued his position. As a result, Jessica went to the party with her friends, while Daniel spent the whole weekend alone at home. On Sunday, she returned very happy and didn't utter a word of criticism towards her husband. Daniel thought that the rest did her good and helped her relax and calm down. Indeed, in the following weeks, his wife became unusually cheerful and active. She woke up full of energy, started doing morning exercises again, which she had abandoned several years ago. She even smiled much more than before. Now, she and her friend met not only on weekends, but also after work during the week. Daniel found it a bit strange since Samantha usually didn't have so much free time, but he didn't ask unnecessary questions. Most importantly, the arguments at home stopped, and he and his wife lived in peace. But this state of affairs didn't last very long. Another month passed, and Jessica suddenly became gloomier day by day. She started losing her temper with Daniel over trivial matters again, and during weekends, it was better not to talk to her to avoid conflict. Daniel was surprised by this abrupt change in her mood and chalked it up to hormonal fluctuations. At some point, he even thought she might be pregnant. So, in response to her behavior, he tried not to react emotionally and instead cherished his beloved wife. However, the reason behind Jessica's bad mood soon accidentally surfaced, and it had nothing to do with a joyful event for the couple. One day, Jessica returned home from work earlier than Daniel and forgot to lock the front door. Usually, when he came home, Jessica would open the door, but this time, Daniel quietly entered the apartment without her noticing. She was pacing around the bedroom, talking on the phone. Engrossed in her conversation, she didn't hear anyone had come in, as she was using her headset. The conversation seemed quite intense. At least from the threshold, Daniel overheard his wife say in frustration, "Samantha, I don't know what to do about it, you know? It all seems so silly, but I really love him." Daniel decided to eavesdrop on their conversation, as it might concern him too. Jessica had always been very open with her friend. Sometimes he even felt like Samantha knew more about his wife than he did himself. Yes, I'm jealous of him. What's so surprising about that? After all, he's been with that woman for a long time, you know? It seems like she means more to him than I do. This can't go on like this. Let him choose either her or me. The wife complained. Daniel couldn't make sense of her words at all. Jealousy. Another woman? He had never cheated on his wife, so where did she get this information? He was about to intervene in the conversation and enter the room when suddenly the decisive phrase was uttered. No, I want to be with him. He's so amazing. And the things he does in bed, he's just a wild beast. I want him to leave his fiancée and be with me only. But I don't know how to arrange it. I can't just come out and tell Dylan everything, otherwise it will all be over between us. The wife said. Like a bolt from the blue, realization struck Daniel. His wife was talking about someone else, not him, and certainly not about their relationship. She was having an affair, and it wasn't even a love triangle, because her new chosen one apparently was not available. Of course, he wanted to burst into the room right now and confront his unfaithful wife, but he held back this impulse and purposely slammed the front door very loudly so that she would understand that she wasn't alone at home. She immediately said goodbye quietly to her friend and came out into the corridor. "Darling, hello. Did you just come home?" she cautiously asked, trying to figure out what her husband had heard. "Yes, just now," Daniel replied. That same evening, he wrote to his old friend, who used to work in the police and now worked as a private detective. Daniel never thought he would become his client, but the situation forced him to do so. He asked his friend to find out who his wife was cheating on him with. Within a week, his friend arranged a meeting and shared everything he had found out. Indeed, Jessica's lover was Dylan. They probably met at the party where the women celebrated their friend's birthday. And this very Dylan was in a long-term relationship. He had been living with his fiancée for several years. Another curious fact, his fiancée happened to be Dylan's boss's daughter. Apparently, the guy was aiming for a higher position, seizing every chance to have some fun on the side. His friend smirked. The information obtained was enough to restore justice, at least to some extent. That same evening, Daniel kicked Jessica out of the house amid a scandal. She tried to assert her rights and claimed she wouldn't leave the apartment, but after receiving a strong slap, she fled with her belongings in her hands. To fully put things right, he needed to reveal everything to the injured party, namely Dylan's fiancée. At first, the girl refused to believe what she heard, but Daniel provided her with all the evidence his friend had gathered. Needless to say, Dylan's plans crumbled immediately. He lost a promising fiancée, a good job, and any respect from his potential father-in-law, who naturally didn't take kindly to this status. Daniel himself filed for divorce. He felt deeply hurt that his first marriage fell apart in an instant, but he knew he had gotten off relatively easily. Jessica went straight to her best friend's place with her belongings. Her friend didn't expect such a surprise, but she allowed Jessica to stay with her for a while. Then, Jessica decided that she could pressure her lover to come back to her once and for all, but the man didn't even want to hear her name anymore. He blamed Jessica and her loose tongue for the whole situation. In this way, their relationship collapsed before it even properly started. And the question of whether it was worth risking a more solid bond for a fleeting fling remains on their conscience, if they still have any left. That's the story. Share your thoughts in the comments about this situation and the behavior of the spouses. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and be sure to like this video. It will greatly help promote the channel. Take care and have a wonderful day.